question. So the question is a very concrete question. How far away from wherever he says that such and such is right, exactly. That something is matanot. How far away from there are we still going to accept that these are matanot? In other words, somebody offers you some food and you say, well, I don't know, he's Namaretz and you kind of want to know, and he says, don't worry, it's Maser Ani. Or he says, don't worry, it's Leket. And you say to him, really, Leket? From where? And he says, oh, from the other on the other side of the county line, there's a field that I pick at, or something like that. Mark.
I took it as a more specific question as to how to define B'Sha'atan.
B'Sha'atan in the Mishnah, you want to know.
Yeah.
What is B'Sha'atan?
No, as in I took this as an attempt to define B'Sha'atan.
But Eichmann is just introducing the memra that comes next, which is about distance.
Which is about distance, but that distance is really a unit of kind of time, no? Like.
But what's the pshat of B'Sha'atan? The Mishnah?
Seasonal.
Katsir. Right?
Okay.
Probably talking about, right, if you say that you have something from Master Ani and it's the middle of the winter, that's Koshnatan. If you have something from Matnot Aniyim, right, that's not Master Ani, and you want it for, it's the middle of the winter, it's not the right time for Leket, then it shouldn't be correct. I don't know, my impression is that Adechan is Bemet, a question which leads into what Pete is talking about, sort of how much can somebody have in order for it to be still considered. But most importantly, how far away are they talking about? In other words, somebody could say, this is Maser Ani, and you could say, well, I was being Milakid with all the Aniyim this year. I saw everybody who went to be Milakid. I didn't see you. And he says, well, I was in somewhere else.
Yeah, well, it seems to only be a quantity dependent on distance. I mean, that's right.
Right.
I'm just trying to figure out some of the assumptions about the reality here.
Good luck with that.
It seems to be positing that there is one area, meaning we'll call it Farmer John's fields, right? So if someone says, I see Pete with a whole bunch of barley, and I say, Pete, that's a lot of barley you got there. And he says, yeah, I got it from Farmer John's fields, right? Farmer John's fields happen to be a 12-hour walk away. Oh, I say, oh, fine, okay. You're Ne'eman, let's go have the barley together. Okay? Now, and I'm understanding, that's just one area, but there could be other fields, intermediate fields, places in between, just because he says it's Farmer John's field, how do I know it's Farmer John's field and not?
So you're not exactly talking about reality here. You're talking about the ne'emanut. Right. The answer is that you are, as long as your claim is something reasonable, your ne'emanut is good. If your claim is something unreasonable, that he came from a 12-hour, 12 hours is still within the border, but let's say he, is talking about having schlepped all of this tvuah from 2 days, from a field 2 days away. That starts to sound unusual. Poor people don't generally travel long distances in order to get to where they're going.
Another question that I hadn't put roots of, which is, we're assuming now that the person, that Pete doesn't know the deen. Meaning, he's not going to say, I know what the right answer is. I know the answer that he's looking for. We're assuming that he knows that he doesn't know.
That's almost always the case.
Okay, good.
Right? In the Mishnah, I should say.
Okay.
Right? In the Talmud sometimes, especially in the Bavli, they sometimes ask that question. Well, what if he knows what you want to hear and he just responds the way he knows you?
It's like the whole idea of Eidin Zolamim, for example. Eidin Zolamim know exactly what they're supposed to say, and that's how they're Zomaim.
In general, when we give dinim, especially about ne'emanut, though, we kind of have this assumption that we're actually describing the psychology of people as opposed to saying what people who learn the Mishnah will do.
Okay.
All right, Matt.
There's also a piece to the flow and structure of the Gemara here in that we're connecting back to the previous Mishnahs and Sugya that talked about, the Anin coming from far distances to collect, and at what point they're not going to bother, because it is a long way for them to schlep and whatever else. And also, I think that this Maimer here helps us understand why the last kept of the Mishnah is there, because it's talking about darko for people to lay left, and it's talking, the Mishnah there is talking about the derech, what people do, which might be a reason why that kept of the Mishnah was put on there for flow.
Okay, it could be. All right. Let's keep going. Maaseh v'yamin Rebbe. Tyson.
Okay, so Maaseh v'yamin Rebbe Lachmisha Achim b'chamisha kolin shel pitim. So they gathered together 5 core of wheat, and then the
5 core of wheat is a surprisingly
large
amount of.
Yes. And then the question back is that shocking? No, can we really believe that you're going to have this much? And then he brings back the answer to defend his Maisa. Of course, so they got a little from here, a little from there. It all adds up to a core. You got 5 of them all put together, and we can believe they got it.
Okay.
Or rather, they must have said that they got it from here and from there.
I understood Salak to be part of the next sentence.
That's the way that the Mufashim read it, and no problem.
Makes a lot of
Just
sense.
in terms of the Aramaic of the Yerushalmi, you read the Mufashim in order to. I assume you read or it's fairly clear to understand. El mikot tzivchad, mikot tzivchad, kol hasadik. What's this word tzivchad? Tzivchad or tzivchav?
A little bit.
This is one of those words which is not regular Hebrew, right, or Aramaic or anything like that. It's worth going to see the Socklaf dictionary and just check it up to see what's going on here. Mikol, kol in the Yerushalmi is kan, right? It's very kind of very very regular in terms of the language of the Yerushalmi. It's actually in terms of our Aramaic, it's the source of our contraction. If we said eat, kol, right, which then becomes ika. Sorry.
So it's like mi hacha.
Yeah. No. Eat kol is the equivalent of. It's essentially the equivalent of the Hebrew yesh. And
But I'm just saying in the case of miko.
oh, miko
it
is
could be a trick. Could it be
right.
a
Mihacha.
contraction that-
Right. Exactly. Right. Hacha is probably high kol or hadin kol, which probably. I mean, I'm making this up now. This is not something. This is something that I know for sure. This is something that, right? Hadin becomes high. That's also something I can guarantee you is true, but right, which then goes on to become hacha. Tzivchad, also just worth looking up to know whether it's tzivchad or tzivchan. Tzivchan is tzivchad. Tziv is Hebrew siv, right? So siv echad, right? A single fiber, right? So from here a little bit to here a little bit until he is collected together a kol. In Syriac Aramaic, it's zibad, which I think that's. I'm not sure why that's the case, but yeah. Okay. I'm sure that you all find that extremely important. Okay. Here's the difficult part. Dave, you want to read?
Yeah. Rabbi Elazar, Jomia, Bai Kume Rabbi Yossi, Matnita de Rabbi Eliezer. The Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Ne'man ala Sheni, Ne'man ala Rishon.